Blade Runner, I Am Mother, I, Robot, Terminator, The Matrix. All films that depict the dystopian world where mankind finds itself locked in a cataclysmic showdown against the very technology it has created. The technology that once was believed would aid the species in its survival now threatens its extinction. It's a reminder to us that our creations often mirror our complexities, and in every scenario, the greatest threat to us is always us and the choices we make. In today's age, it seems that the rapid advancement of AI and technology has moved us one step closer to those fictional nightmares becoming a reality. One step closer to where machines replace human input and interaction, and maybe one step closer to destroying ourselves. This opulence of technology has infiltrated every aspect of our lives, reshaping our existence and transforming us into denizens of a world that we now share with machines. Even the once pure and simplistic world of motorcycling has not been spared. Modern motorcycles are now laden with jet fighter-like electronic systems designed to think on our behalf. Lean-sensitive ABS, electronic suspension adjustments, fly-by-wire throttles, satellite navigation, Bluetooth capabilities, multiple rider modes, stability control, traction control, torque control, launch control, engine control, cruise control, and more control. Yet despite being wrapped in a veneer of marketing jargon and flowery adjectives that tout their revolutionary benefits, these technologies have not led to increased safety. In fact, it has never been a more dangerous time to be a motorcyclist than it is today. So why has the surge in technology not made us any safer? Is it merely a distraction? Are we being dumbed down by our dependence on automation, unaware of its potential perils? And as we integrate more and more control systems into our lives and our motorcycles, we must ask ourselves, do we truly understand what we're surrendering in exchange for this illusion of safety? So in today's video, we'll explore the topic of rider aids and motorcycles and answer the question as to how much is enough and what have we done? Every street-based motorcycle that's sold today comes with some form of electronic rider aid attached to it. From the bare minimum of ABS to a gluttony of gadgets that are so absurd you wonder if this is even a motorcycle. And the subject of motorcycle electronics always invokes a wide range of emotions. From the old school rider who thinks they are totally worthless and they dampen the experience of what it means to own and ride a motorcycle, all the way to the ardent technophile rider who evangelizes premium mechanisms and pretty much everything in between. Now, luckily for all of us, there's a motorcycle out there somewhere that will provide you with the exact feel and experience that you're looking for. But when it comes to the subject of electronic rider aids, manufacturers have always promoted these advancements to the consumer as a way to extract more versatility and performance out of your machine in the most comfortable and safest way possible. Now the noob rider need not fear the mighty power and behemoth size of such motorcycle, as rider aids will override any deficiencies you may encounter and save you from imminent disaster. And all of that sounds nice, and it sells nice too, to the riders, to the insurance companies, and to the significant others from all around the world, because hey, everybody wants to be safe, right? Yet in spite of these impressive widgets of wonder, incidents involving motorcyclists have been steadily increasing year over year. And according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration in 2021, motorcyclists accounted for 14% of all traffic fatalities. These are the highest number of fatalities since they started collecting data in 1975. And early preliminary data for 2022 and 2023 shows no improvement in these areas. Now, it's important to note during this video that a full compilation of all traffic data is normally lagging by a few years, and the most comprehensive up-to-date data is for the year of 2021. So for this video, we will use that full compilation of data as well as comparing it with preliminary findings for the most recent years. Also, it's important to note throughout this video that I will occasionally speak in modern-day soft language code and refer to fatalities as incidents, because if I use too many death words, the video will probably get taken down because that's just the way life is now. Anyway, if we go back to a little over a decade ago to 2011, when only a handful of motorcycles at that time had rider aids attached to them, and if they did, that technology at the time was primitive at best, there were on average 54.87 incidents for every 100,000 registered motorcyclists. And the same statistical averages will apply to both injuries and injuries that will require hospitalization. And this is not just something that's isolated to here in the United States of America. But for those over in the European Union, it's not much better there either, as accidents and fatalities have remained relatively the same over the last decade, regardless of what technology has been put on our motorcycle. So from first glance, it appears that none of this technology is doing anything to help us become more safe. If anything, it's putting us more in harm's way. So the question here is, how come all of the money and research that we have poured in towards motorcycle technology over the last decade for the sole purpose of keeping us safe has done absolutely nothing but lead us into one of the most statistically dangerous periods of time to be a motorcyclist? Is all of this motorcycle technology just one big scam that has resulted in absurd motorcycle prices? Has motorcycle technology provided riders with a false sense of security and hubris that's led to an increase in fatalities? Or are there just more idiots out there on the road? Now, I'm sure most of you have heard correlation does not imply causation, which means seeing two variables moving together does not necessarily mean we know whether one variable causes the other to occur. And obviously this statistic is just an overview of incidents. It doesn't tell us who the main culprit is, like the experience level of the rider, the age and condition of the motorcycle they were riding, the time of the incident, if it was a single vehicle accident or a multiple vehicle accident, if alcohol was involved, what safety gear they might be wearing or not wearing, and about 100 different types of scenarios that could lead to a potential fatality. And that's why we need a combination of full in-depth statistics and preliminary statistics to isolate the culprit. And for this video, I want to take a look at two different areas: rider versus car. How many were faults of the riders and why, and how many were faults of another vehicle and why? Now, when you think of a motorcycle crash, probably one of the first things that comes to your mind is speeding. But shockingly, 67% of all motorcycle incidents were riders who were not exceeding the speed limit. And in comparison to other years, you'll find that's about average. So contrary to the belief of many, speeding, while not advisable, isn't the infractor. Another obvious area that you may consider would be intoxication. But in 2011, 30% of the incidents involved intoxicated riders compared to 29% in 2021. So much like speeding, while not advisable by any means, the increase hasn't come from that either. Then it's got to be from not wearing a helmet. But in 2011, 40% of incidents involved riders not wearing a helmet, as opposed to 2021, where 39% were not wearing a helmet. Maybe this increase is coming from high horsepower monster machines that the internet is constantly warning will kill you. But in 2020 and 2021, 1,000cc size machines and higher accounted for 27% of the incidents. This is actually far less than what it was a decade ago. Maybe the answer here lies in the bike itself. It could be that tail of the dragon street racer crossing over the yellow lines, desperately trying to drag their elbow in every corner, then slamming into a tree or the back of a car. Or maybe it's the big Hayabusa ninja or cruiser rider who's drag racing on city streets and ends up getting hurled through a storefront window. While not really the best practices to follow, still, those areas remain unchanged as well. So while speeding, intoxication, not wearing a helmet, riding a super fast machine, and racing on public streets is certainly not advisable and shouldn't be done, period, but with all due respect, they're not directly responsible for the significant increase in incidents. So Occam's razor doesn't work here. If anything, the large decrease in incidents that are involving larger CC machinery would lead me to believe that rider aids, along with suspension and tire technology, has in fact made a difference. But when we look at rider error specifically, by far the largest increase that we see is with new riders that have less than 1 year of experience. That group makes up 42% of all of these incidents. That statistic is further backed up by insurance data that shows that most motorcycle claims involving serious injury or death are made within the first 3 months of policy origination. And that number is certainly higher than it was in 2011. Now, if you look at that statistic, you could easily make an argument that rider aids are providing a false sense of security for the inexperienced rider. And they may be prohibiting newer riders from feeling the need to develop crucial motorcycling skills, but that's not definitive either. Maybe it's just more new riders that are buying bikes. But up to this point, these statistics are just sort of like a logical contradiction. Maybe a paradox or a red herring, whatever it is, it's confusing and proves absolutely nothing. And it just seems like we're going in circles here. And nothing we've seen so far supports or negates whether rider aids in particular are participating in these incidents. But you know what? There is something. And that brings us to cars. The most staggering statistic I've found was that 75% of the motorcyclists involved in these incidents involve a collision with another vehicle. And the majority of those incidents are caused by a driver of a vehicle who fails to notice a motorcyclist. Furthermore, this statistic states that these incidents occur mostly when a driver fails to yield the right of way to a motorcyclist and or disobeys a traffic sign. So while the media often likes to vilify motorcyclists as the cause of the world's problems and portray us as a group of reckless adrenaline junkies who seek to wreak havoc on humanity, the truth is it's the zombified Muppet Instagram scrolling phone chatting distractive driver that's the enemy here. Now, am I being too harsh? Am I being unfair? Probably not, since traffic data suggests that incidents that involve distracted drivers continues to increase year over year. So maybe the answer here is yes. Technology does make riders unsafe, but it's not the technology that's on the motorcycle. It's the technology from the cars and the technology that we're using in our day-to-day lives. So the next time you're having that conversation with the uninformed individual, you know who I'm talking about, and you say that you ride a motorcycle and they quickly chastise your life choices and respond with a, "Aren't you worried about the dangers? Aren't you scared of getting hurt?" Your answer should be yes, but not of your pretty motorcycle that's sitting in your garage that's brought you nothing but an unlimited amount of joy into an otherwise mundane existence, but you should be afraid of them. Now, I'm sure if you dig deep enough, there's a few accidents that have been the direct result of distracting TFT displays and other rider technology. And whether you love all of this technology on your motorcycle, you hate it, or you stand somewhere in the middle, those are personal choices. And fortunately for us, we still have the luxury in this world to be able to make that choice. And what a lot of outsiders don't understand is that most motorcyclists are, in fact, safe. Because they don't realize when it comes to riding a motorcycle, it takes a lot more physical effort and mental awareness just to operate that bike. The average motorcyclist is probably 10 times more focused, 10 times more aware of their surroundings, and 10 times more reactive riding their motorcycle out of the driveway than most motorists are the entire day. Now, of course, not all of it's the fault of another driver. Us motorcyclists make a lot of mistakes too. And if we're speeding, we're going to have less time to react to that bad driver. And if we're inebriated, we're going to lose a huge chunk of that awareness. And if we're wearing improper safety gear, our chances of walking away from an incident significantly decrease. These are responsibilities that fall on us. And the better choices that we can make, the better our chances will be. So I guess in this case, we do have an answer. Are rider aids dangerous to motorcyclists? And the answer is no. What is, was, and seems like it always will be is the other driver, which sadly we have no control over. All we can do is the best that we can do. And by doing the best that we can do, that means it's our responsibility to do our part in practicing our skills on our motorcycle without electronics, learning to trust ourselves and our riding ability rather than relying on things like traction control to save us. Because as the saying in technology goes, one machine can do the work of 50 ordinary people, but no machine can do the work of one extraordinary person. So be extraordinary with your writing. So until our paths merge in the cloud, farewell, my goons.
After burning a considerable amount of time watching this YouTube video, did you find it entertaining?
Yes, but I find Born a Goon annoying.